From temples to shrines to castles to houses, when visiting Japan, you'll want to see history through its architecture and amazing buildings, correct? So you simply must include a visit to this, the Edo Tokyo Open Air Architectural Museum just outside Tokyo. It's the easiest, most convenient way to sample 400 years of history in an afternoon. At this world-class outdoor museum, you'll see examples of architecture from the Edo, Meiji, Taisho and Showa eras. Nowhere else in Japan will you find such a collection. And stick around to the end for a glimpse at another hidden gem known by very few visitors and even Japanese. The museum is part of the larger Koganai Park, which is located on the western edge of Tokyo, thus making for a very easy day trip. When we arrived, the leaves were in full color, adding a special touch to the day. This open-air museum, the Edo Tokyo Open Air Architectural Museum, is absolutely fantastic. The stars of the show are outside, featuring examples of these 4 periods of Japanese history. The grounds are divided into 3 zones, each with its own look and feel. Now in this section of the museum, we find several examples of Edo-style homes and farmhouses. These include the Yoshino family farmhouse, built in the latter part of the Edo period. This was an upper-class house of a local ruling family, as indicated by its suke showing, or private wood-floored room in the rear. Next to this is the leader's house of the Hachioji guards, who were retainers of the Tokugawa shogunate. Smaller than other houses, it was nonetheless a house of great prestige, as it featured a broad wooden entrance hall. The nearby Tsunashimi residence dates back to the 1700s and was an upper-class farmhouse, again featuring wooden floors and central hall. The woodwork is a beautiful representation of what life was like back then. Across the way, we explore the Toki Wadai Photo Studio. This was built in 1937 during the Showa era and is a beautiful Art Deco type building. In this house, we get a glimpse of day-to-day life from the time just prior to the Great War. The top floor comprises the photography studio with a wall of frosted glass to allow natural light to come in. Just up the street is the Miyakawa House, built in 1942 by the architect himself. He was a major contributor to the development of modern design in Japan. It's unique in that it has a sweeping vaulted great room with a wall of windows, giving it a very contemporary look. The modern styling gives it an almost Scandinavian look, fitting for even today's contemporary interiors. On the rest of this first street, you'll see the Lalande House, built around 1910 by a German merchant and once owned by the inventor of a very famous Japanese soft drink still sold today. And there's the quaint Okawa cottage that looks like something out of Southern California, built around 1925. Many visitors tend to think all historic Japanese homes are built of thatched roofs with sliding paper screens, but the reality is that homes in the early 1900s were quite modern and Western in style. Moving on to the central zone of the park, the look changes decidedly to a more park-like setting, and the architecture is more of what one may imagine when thinking of Japanese architecture. The nearby Date family gate is reminiscent of that owned by a feudal lord, with a guardhouse and curved roof. Here we find the incredible Takahashi House. Takahashi was a major political figure at the beginning of the Showa era, and the house is made entirely of hemlock. The upper floor was his study and bedroom, and this was the original site of the February 26 coup attempt in 1936. Surrounding the house is a beautifully reconstructed garden with spring-fed creek and pond, and at this time of year, some beautiful fall color. Next door is the guest house of businessman Nishikawa, who built a silk reeling empire. The craftsmanship of this and other homes of this period are amazing to see. The tatami-matted floors, hallways with wooden screens and open ceilings are a delight to experience. But if you find this house impressive, I can't wait to show you something even more amazing at the end of this video, in which you can actually stay overnight. The final section of the museum is the East Zone and is laid out like that of old Tokyo. This section presents a wide variety of structures, including a soy sauce shop and liquor or sake store. Stepping through the shared doorway, you can see how they kept this valuable product safe. The walls and doors are very thick for security and fire protection. Just look at the thickness of this front door. One of the storefronts is clad in copper, which became a common sight after the Great Kanto earthquake of 1926, which burned much of Tokyo. There's a cosmetics store and flower shop and a kitchenware store complete with everything one would need to fit out a kitchen in the early 20th century Japan. The Kawana no Shoten oil paper umbrella store displays some authentic umbrellas with miniatures showing the process of making these umbrellas. Japanese craftsmanship is on display everywhere you turn. There's a grocery store offering vegetables and dry goods one would need to maintain a home, as well as one of my favorites, dried squid. Across the street is the Mantoku Inn from the end of the Edo period to early Meiji period. This inn operated until the 1950s, and you can still find Ryokan inns today in Japan that have this same look and feel. Send us an email and we'll make some similar recommendations for you. And click like and subscribe to ensure we keep making more videos just like this one. And now it's time for the word of the day. Well, the word of today, actually there are two words today we're going to go over, and they're real simple, but Josephine's going to help us. And what would they be, honey?
They're yes and no. So yes is height, like you're saying hi.
Hi.
But it's height.
Height.
And then no is ie.
Yeah. So you'll use those everywhere you go. Real simple. Height. Yeah. No. And another thing I've learned is this means no. And when you go into museums, they don't want you taking photos. You're going to get one of these. So be prepared. Step into the Kaguya bar and get a feel of what it was like in 1856 in the Taito ward of Tokyo to grab a drink with friends after a day's work. You can still find hidden gems like this if you look hard enough. And no example of daily life in Tokyo would be complete without including a koban or police box, which you'll find today throughout Tokyo, albeit more modern than this one. Finally, there's a community bathhouse, or kodakaru. This building is similar to those in Josephine's neighborhood where she grew up in Osaka. Split down the middle, with a wall dividing the male and female sides, there are changing areas for both men and women. There's a large bathing area to wash up while sitting on stools in front of one of the many faucets. This is rounded out by a soak in one of the several very deep tubs known as ofuro. After a hard day's work, you can imagine your stresses just melting away here. The two sides feature different artwork for their respective occupants, as the bathhouse was an equalizer of classes within the Japanese neighborhood. Strolling through this open-air museum is a very pleasant activity and one easy to manage as it's on flat ground. Folks, if you have one place in Tokyo to come to, a museum of some sort, you've got to do this one. Given that it is not highly publicized, it's seldom crowded, and in speaking with some of the staff, we learned that very few Western visitors come here. And another really nice item is that the cost of this museum is only 400 yen, or less than $3 at today's exchange rate. So when coming to Tokyo, we highly recommend visiting the Edo Tokyo Open Air Architectural Museum, as it provides you a convenient way to experience hundreds of years of Japanese daily living at a tremendous value. At the beginning of this video, I promised to share a unique experience, and here it is. Maruyama Village, situated just a few minutes outside the town of Sasayama. You've likely never heard of it, and most even in Japan are unaware of this true gem tucked away in a mountain cove. The story is unique in that this was a dying village, but several years ago the residents pooled their resources and rebuilt 2 homes into guest houses and enticed 2 exceptional chefs to open restaurants here. The result is unlike anything we've ever seen elsewhere in Japan. You'll stay in a 180-year-old Edo period house that has been updated with modern conveniences, yet retains all the original character. You can dine at one of the 2 incredible restaurants, such as the Ron Matsuda Soba restaurant or the Japanese-French fusion restaurant, Hiwano Kura, operated by a famous Kobe chef. In the morning, Shidori-san will lay out breakfast for you before your eyes, using dishes personally made by the ladies of the village in their own kitchens. It's simply an incredible experience you won't find elsewhere. Having stayed here multiple times, the people of Maruyama Village have become dear friends. And I'm confident you'll come away with the same feeling should you visit this magical place. For more information, send us an email to info@unchartedjapan.net, and you can watch our full video on Maruyama Village to gain even more information, along with other videos on places such as Nagoya with its hidden gems, or Matsue with its striking original castle. And send us an email with your questions or comments. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, sayonara.